I've made this video to answer some of the most commonly asked questions about dropshipping, and I'm going to be as straight with you as I can. So here's the sad truth about dropshipping. Now, dropshipping has always had this reputation as some get-rich-quick scheme where you don't have to invest that much money, that much time, store any inventory, or even worry about shipping the products for yourself. Now, some of what I just said can technically be considered as truthful, but let me tell you one thing straight away. To run a successful dropshipping store is not easy. The reality is that dropshipping is not as simple a process as a lot of people online will make you believe. There are pros and cons just like any other business. So let me run you through some of the truths and misconceptions about dropshipping and what it really takes to make it work. So we'll start off with what is dropshipping. Dropshipping is simply a fulfillment method where stores don't need to carry the inventory for what they're selling. When an order is placed, the store processes this through to the supplier, who then packs, picks, and ships it to the end user. The store owner doesn't have to be physically involved with actually shipping or handling the product. And so the store owner only actually pays for the product when the customer has placed an order on their store. And now, does dropshipping require business licenses and permits? Now, to answer this question honestly, just remember my earlier point. Dropshipping is a real business. And so this means that you do need to operate by the laws of the country that you are operating in. Does this mean that you need to register and trademark every aspect of your business just as you get started? So the reality is, start testing your products, get some sales, make it a real business, and then worry about registering and trademarking after. The next question is dropshipping profitable? Now, to be honest, with dropshipping, margins can be a little bit tighter than with other business models. And the reason for that is that the supplier generally does most of the heavy lifting, and this always comes at a premium. And if you have other expenses and ads, then margins can really be tight. But if you use dropshipping as a testing platform and then you scale into private labeling and shipping your own products, then you can source the product cheaper and you have more room for margin. And with most people, as they find success with dropshipping, they do then transition into private label and finding a third-party supplier to be able to ship their product for them. The higher ticket items, however, over $75, generally you're going to have a lot better margins than products that you're selling for around $10. Now, the next question is dropshipping worth it? So to give my personal experience, initially I actually spent 2 years testing different products and made no profit. And to many people, that's obviously not going to be worth it. But to me, I was then able to scale a store and really make it a profitable long-term business. But let's face it, dropshipping is appealing to most people. I mean, you need a few dollars just to get started, and really you can set up a store quite quickly. And also, it's not actually high risk. When you think about it, you're not sat in a warehouse full of stock that you potentially might not be able to sell. I would also add that if you are successful, there are different opportunities for you to scale your business. Now, the next question is it an automated system? Now, in the traditional dropshipping sense, yes. The back end is the only thing that you need to worry about. Supplier will take care of most of the heavy lifting. And for example, if your customers are worried about how much stock you've got, then your supplier being linked to your store means that your supplier is updating the store constantly with how much inventory you've got. What this means is that once you've chosen your product, picked your supplier and linked everything to your store, the system generally does the rest. You don't need to worry about delivery addresses, picking, packing, everything is done automatically. And in a basic sense, even adding new products to the store is just a few clicks. You can find multiple products that you can link to your store very easily and just add them straight away. Now, the next question is, can I dropship outside my own website? You set up an Amazon account, listing your products as a merchant fulfilled seller. When an order is placed on your Amazon account, you send the order to your supplier electronically, at which point the supplier then ships this to the customer. Now, there is a lot more risk involved with this method of dropshipping compared to others, and that's down to Amazon's terms and conditions being quite stringent. It's not hard to find your listing being taken down very easily. And there are many reasons why this can happen. For example, your products might not be sourced from a legitimate supplier, which is one of their policies. What this means is that you can't dropship from AliExpress, eBay, or Walmart. And if you start having late shipments or other issues, it's very easy to find your Amazon account getting banned. Now let's talk about eBay. Some people dropship on eBay, and it's similar to Amazon where your products are being listed on eBay's marketplace. When the order is placed by your customer, you send the order to your supplier who ships it for you. And there are similar drawbacks to what Amazon dropshipping has, which is that eBay's terms and conditions are also quite stringent. You need to have a legitimate wholesaler as per eBay's policies, and at the same time, you can't dropship from eBay to Amazon or from Amazon to eBay. Now, although I've never tried eBay or Amazon dropshipping, I highly would not recommend it compared to the traditional sense where you can dropship from your own website. And the next question is, how do payments work in dropshipping? So when you set up with a supplier, you're usually asked for a payment method. Most commonly, people supply their credit card or debit card. This is then charged each time you order from the supplier. You might also provide your bank information to your supplier, who then charges your bank each time they get an order. But when you start to build an established relationship with your supplier, you might then get credit terms, which is where you have 30 or 60 days. You can purchase as much as you want from the supplier, and at the end of the 30 or 60 days, you get a bill which you need to pay at once. But generally with dropshipping, there's two transactions. Transaction number one is where the customer has gone onto your website and purchased, for example, for $50. Transaction number two is when you purchase from the supplier, for example, for $20, $30 of the profit then becomes yours. And then you deduct from that profit additional expenses such as marketing or other costs that are involved. Now, the next question is, where do I find dropshipping suppliers? And now to answer this question, there's three main ways in which you can find dropshipping suppliers, and really it depends on how you want to do business. Method number one is that you can use a paid supplier search service. Now, method number two, which is the most common, is people use a dropshipping company, which means that you don't actually have to be in touch with the supplier directly. And the third and increasingly popular method is to use a print-on-demand supplier. This is a supplier who has a limited amount of products, but has some involvement in customization and allows you to print on the products. Now, the next question is, which products should I start selling? Now, what I recommend to beginners is to have a look at Amazon. They have over 50% market share in the e-commerce world, so it's a great place to analyze their data. In general, it's good to get an idea and understanding of the supply and demand of the products that are being brought online. There are tools such as Jungle Scout, which have the ability to show you the revenue of different products over the past 30 days. Now, the next question is, who pays for shipping if I'm dropshipping? Now, the answer to this is that depending on the supplier, there's actually a varied shipping cost depending on the size of your product, where your product's going from, and where it's going to. But in reality, in most cases, what I would say with a dropshipping store is that you can offer better value to your customer if you absorb the shipping costs and maybe increase the price of the product. This gives the customer a feeling of getting a better deal, free shipping, and you'll get a higher conversion rate. Now, on my website, I offer free shipping with reasonable shipping times, and that's because I use a POD supplier, print-on-demand supplier, local to the customer. The next question is, how do returns work with dropshipping? Now, despite the fact that the supplier is responsible for fulfilling the orders, you are responsible if things go wrong. Now, this can be a costly process in the dropshipping world. That's because for you to get a refund from your supplier, you need to get the product from the customer to the supplier in its original packaging, and this can cost quite a bit because you're responsible for the shipping back. So when it comes to my e-commerce stores, previously when I was using AliExpress, I made sure I wasn't selling products that were very, very cheap, because generally you'd be getting a higher rate of returns. I wanted the least chance of having to return products from my customers. The next question is, what's good about dropshipping? So there is quite a few positives when it comes to the dropshipping fulfillment method. It's actually a low risk entry into the e-commerce world. And because you don't need to worry about inventory, fulfillment, or shipping, you can work from anywhere. There is relatively low investment costs, and if you use organic, free marketing methods, you can pretty much start dropshipping for relatively low money. And with a lot of hard work and maybe a little bit of luck, you can be like others that are making over 100K a month using the dropshipping fulfillment method. My biggest upside to dropshipping, however, is that it can be used to test and validate a product before making a whole business around it in which you can then private label. And the next question is, what's bad about dropshipping? Well, we'll start off that in the beginning, you won't have any kind of credit, trustability, or brand awareness. And also, as mentioned previously, margins can be super low. This is because the supplier costs can be quite high because they take charge of all of the physical work. And to add to this, to use paid advertising, this further eats into your margin. And because it's not you, it's actually the supplier that's shipping it, you have no control over shipping times or quality control. And the biggest issue with that is that late shipping or dud products will generally give you a bad reputation. And the final negative to dropshipping that I would say is that traditional product research tools means that there's an increased amount of competition in 2024 than ever before. Now, the last and final question is, do big companies dropship? Now, you might be surprised to know that big companies such as Home Depot or Wayfair actually use dropshipping in their businesses as a fulfillment method. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also, check out my channel for anything to do with e-commerce.